Colonel Marcus Vega stared at the hollow display showing Earth's shattered defense grid. 7 years of brutal war against the Krivax had reduced humanity's once proud civilization to a handful of scattered outposts across what remained of the solar system. Mars had fallen 3 years ago. The lunar colonies were overwhelmed within months of first contact. Now, only Earth and a few hidden bases throughout the asteroid belt remained. "Status report," he demanded, his voice echoing through the underground command center buried 2 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains. Major Diana Walsh stepped forward, her face gaunt from too many stims and too little sleep. Like everyone else in humanity's last line of defense, she'd lost family when the Krivax unleashed their planet cracker weapons on Earth's major population centers. What had once been a planet of 9 billion was now barely 1. Project Prometheus is at 97% completion, sir. Dr. Abra reports final calibrations will be complete in 17 hours. Marcus nodded grimly. And the latest Krivax movements, 3 more motherships entered the system 6 hours ago. That brings their total fleet strength to 27 capital ships and at least 300 support vessels. Intelligence suggests they are preparing for their final push. A holographic representation of Sol System materialized above the central table. Red markers representing the Krivax armada clustering around Mars and the asteroid belt. Blue dots, pathetically few in number, indicated humanity's remaining forces. Marcus studied the display with tired eyes. At 52, he had spent most of his military career preparing for conventional warfare against human opponents. Nothing could have prepared Earth for the arrival of the Krivax 7 years ago. "They still don't know about Prometheus?" he asked. Diana shook her head. "All indications suggest our operational security is held. The quantum scrambled communications haven't been compromised. If they knew what we were planning, they'd have hit us already." "Good." He turned to face the dozen senior officers gathered around the war table. "Ladies and gentlemen, in 17 hours we launch Operation Final Dawn. This will be humanity's last stand. We either succeed, or our species joins the growing list of those the Krivax have exterminated." The room fell silent. They all knew the stakes. The Krivax had emerged from deep space without warning, their massive fleet darkening skies worldwide. Their first message had been simple: surrender or die. Humanity had tried diplomacy, offering peaceful coexistence. The aliens had responded by slagging Antarctica as a demonstration of their power. The war that followed had been catastrophically one-sided. The Krivax possessed technology centuries beyond Earth's most advanced systems. Their hulls shrugged off nuclear strikes. Their weapons cut through the best human shielding like tissue paper. And their numbers seemed endless, with fresh ships arriving through some form of faster-than-light travel humanity hadn't yet mastered. But in their arrogance, the Krivax had made one critical mistake. They'd underestimated human ingenuity and determination. While Earth burned and billions died, a select group of the brightest minds worked in secret, developing the one weapon that might turn the tide. Project Prometheus. Dr. Abra, Marcus called, turning to the rail-thin physicist who stood apart from the military personnel. "Give us the final briefing." Qasim Abra stepped forward, his dark eyes intense beneath a shock of white hair. Once the head of CERN's quantum mechanics division, now the architect of humanity's last hope. "Project Prometheus operates on principles we have reverse-engineered from Krivax technology," he began, his accented voice soft yet clear. "Their ships utilize an exotic form of matter energy we have designated as null space to achieve their faster-than-light capabilities. This null space exists as a bubble around each vessel, allowing them to slide between normal space and what appears to be a higher dimension." He manipulated the holographic display, showing the schematic of a Krivax mothership with a translucent field surrounding it. "After studying debris from downscout ships, we discovered that this null space field has a fundamental vulnerability. If exposed to a precisely calibrated quantum resonance wave, the field collapses catastrophically, creating a chain reaction through the ship's power systems." In English, "Doctor," grunted General Takeda from his position at the far end of the table. Abra smiled thinly. "We can make their ships implode, General. But more importantly, we have discovered that Krivax vessels are quantum entangled with their fleet. They use this entanglement for instantaneous communication across vast distances. It's ingenious, really. But it also means that if we can trigger a cascading quantum collapse in one ship, the effect will propagate through the entire fleet. You're saying we can destroy them all with one shot? Diana asked, disbelief evident in her voice. Theoretically, yes. But there's a catch. Abra's expression grew grave. We need to target their flagship, the vessel controlling the entanglement network. And we need to get close. Very close. Marcus picked up the thread. That's where Operation Final Dawn comes in. We have modified our last carrier, the UES Tenacity, with the Prometheus device. A volunteer crew will pilot it directly into the heart of the Krivax fleet to deliver the payload. A suicide mission, someone murmured. A chance at survival for our species. Marcus corrected firmly. The Tenacity has been retrofitted with every stealth technology we possess. It will approach under cover of a larger engagement. While our remaining forces draw the Krivax's attention, the Tenacity will close with the flagship and activate Prometheus. He looked around the room, meeting each person's gaze. Make no mistake, this is likely a one-way trip for the Tenacity and her crew. But if successful, it will eliminate the entire Krivax presence in our system. And if it fails, asked General Takeda, Marcus's jaw tightened. Then humanity falls. The Tenacity carries our last reserves of antimatter. There won't be another opportunity. The holographic display shifted, showing the planned battle formations. The few remaining Earth vessels, a motley collection of military craft and repurposed civilian ships, would launch a desperate attack against the Krivax's forward elements, creating a diversion. Meanwhile, the Tenacity would approach from the dark side of Earth's moon, using the natural satellite for cover until the final approach. Who's commanding the Tenacity? Diana asked. I am. Marcus answered simply. A burst of protests erupted around the table, but he raised his hand for silence. This decision is not open for debate. I have selected my crew, all volunteers who understand the stakes. We launch in 16 hours. The rest of you will coordinate the diversionary attack, and, should we succeed, prepare to rebuild what remains of human civilization. As the meeting broke up, Diana followed Marcus into the adjoining briefing room. This is insane, sir, she said once they were alone. You are too valuable to risk on this mission. Let someone else who, Major, he interrupted. I've spent 7 years sending good men and women to die against an enemy we couldn't beat conventionally. I have ordered missions knowing they were hopeless because we needed time. Time that Dr. Abra and his team used to develop Prometheus. If anyone's going to deliver this package, it's going to be me. Diana stared at him, then nodded once, sharply. Then I'm coming too. Marcus started to refuse, but something in her expression stopped him. Your family, dead. Mumbai. 3 years ago. He nodded slowly. Report to Docking Bay 7 at 0400. Bring only essential personal items. The Tenacity's quarters will be stripped to accommodate the Prometheus device. As Diana left, Marcus turned to the small window cut into the rock of the mountain. Through it, he could see a narrow slice of night sky. Somewhere up there, the enemy was preparing for what they believed would be their final victorious push against a defeated species. They were wrong. The Tenacity wasn't much to look at. Once a proud carrier in Earth Space Force, the vessel had been gutted and rebuilt for its final mission. Its cavernous launch bays, once home to squadrons of fighters, now housed a massive Prometheus device, a quantum weapon unlike anything humanity had built before. Marcus moved through the ship's corridors, nodding to crew members as he passed. Each face he saw reflected the same combination of grim determination and desperate hope. 53 souls, all that could be spared, all volunteers, all aware they were unlikely to return. The bridge was compact, utilitarian, designed for efficiency rather than comfort. As Marcus took his command chair, he glanced at the main view screen showing the underground dock where the Tenacity had been retrofitted in secret. Pre-launch checks complete, Colonel, reported Commander Jackson from the tactical station. All systems nominal. Prometheus is online and in standby mode. Engineering reports ready, sir, added Lieutenant Rodriguez. Stealth systems are green across the board. Marcus acknowledged them with a nod, then opened a ship-wide channel. This is Colonel Vega. In 5 minutes, we will launch on humanity's most critical mission. Each of you volunteered knowing what's at stake. Each of you represents the best of what humanity has to offer. Together, we carry the hopes of every human still drawing breath." He paused, choosing his next words carefully. "The Krivax came to our system believing they found just another species to conquer, another civilization to add to their list of extinctions. They judged us by our technology, by our apparent weakness. They failed to understand what truly makes humanity formidable: our refusal to accept defeat, our ability to adapt, and our willingness to sacrifice for the greater good." Around the ship, crew members stopped their preparations to listen. Today, we show them their mistake. Today, we demonstrate that humanity will not go quietly into extinction. Today, we fight not just for our own survival, but for every species the Krivax have destroyed or will destroy if they continue unchecked. He took a deep breath. "It has been the highest honor of my life to serve with each of you. Now let's go make history." Vega out. As the channel closed, Diana stepped onto the bridge, taking her position as executive officer at his right hand. "Quite the speech, sir," she said quietly. "Too much?" he asked with a ghost of a smile. "Just enough," she replied. The crew needed it. The massive doors of the underground dock began to retract, revealing a narrow launch tunnel that would take them to the surface. "Take us out, Helm. 1/4 thrust until we clear the atmosphere. Then engage stealth systems and set course for the lunar dark side." "Aye, sir." 1/4 thrust. The Tenacity rose slowly from its berth, repulsor fields humming as the ship maneuvered into the launch tunnel. For several minutes, they ascended through the narrow passage, the rock walls close enough to touch through the viewports. Then suddenly they were out, emerging into a night sky partially obscured by dust and smoke, the lingering effects of 7 years of orbital bombardment. The Tenacity climbed steadily, accelerating as Earth's atmosphere thinned around them. "Approaching exospheric boundary, Colonel," reported the helm officer. "Stealth systems standing by. Engage stealth on my mark," Marcus ordered, watching the altitude indicator climb. 3, 2, 1, mark. A subtle vibration ran through the ship as its experimental stealth systems activated. Developed from captured Krivax technology, the system bent light and other electromagnetic radiation around the hull, while advanced heat sinks and baffles masked their thermal and neutrino emissions. "Stealth engaged and holding, sir. We are ghosts. Set course for the lunar dark side. Maximum sustainable speed without compromising stealth." As the Tenacity altered course, the main view screen shifted to show Earth receding behind them. Even after 7 years of war, the sight was shocking. Vast scars marred the planet's surface where Krivax weapons had struck. The once blue world was now veiled in gray-brown clouds of dust and smoke. Nightside lights, once tracing the outlines of continents and cities, were now rare and isolated. "My God," whispered someone on the bridge. "Remember this view," Marcus said grimly. "Remember what they have done. It will keep your resolve firm when we need it most." The journey to the moon took longer than it would have with conventional drives at full power. The stealth systems required careful management of their energy signature, meaning slower speeds and a ballistic approach trajectory. But 16 hours after launch, the Tenacity slipped into orbit around the dark side of the moon, hidden from both Earth and the main Krivax fleet. "Status of the diversionary force," Marcus asked as they settled into their holding position. Diana checked her console. "General Takeda reports all units in position and awaiting our signal. The Krivax fleet remains in standard defensive formation around Mars. No indication they have detected either us or the buildup of our forces." "And Prometheus?" Dr. Aber reports the device is fully operational. "Final targeting calibrations are underway." Marcus nodded. "Very well. We will proceed as planned. The diversionary attack begins in 3 hours. That should give us enough time to maneuver into our firing position while the Krivax are distracted." He turned to the tactical officer. "Commander Jackson, review the approach vector one more time. I want to be absolutely certain we can get close enough to their flagship without being detected." Jackson brought up a 3-dimensional tactical display. "Based on the current formation, sir, this is our best approach." A blue line traced a course from the moon to the heart of the Krivax fleet. "We will use these debris fields for additional cover, then make our final run here, when their attention should be focused on our attack force." Marcus studied the projection. Time from final approach to optimal firing range. Approximately 7 minutes, sir. That's our window of maximum vulnerability. 7 minutes. After 7 years of war and billions of deaths, humanity's fate would be decided in 7 minutes. Get some rest, all of you. Marcus ordered the bridge crew. Next shift reports in 2 hours. I want everyone sharp when we make our move. As the bridge cleared, only Diana remained, studying the tactical display with intense focus. Something on your mind, Major? Marcus asked. She turned to face him. Just thinking about how much is riding on this. One shot, one chance. That's been the story of this war from the beginning, he replied. Always outgunned, always one step behind. But we are still here. Barely, she countered, gesturing to a readout showing Earth's remaining population and resources. Sometimes barely is enough. Marcus stood, stretching muscles stiff from tension. The history of our species is filled with moments where we survived by the narrowest of margins. This is just one more. Diana nodded slowly. Do you think they hate us? The Krivax. The question caught him off guard. Hate us? I don't know. Their communications have always been clinical, detached. They speak of our source acquisition and territorial expansion as if we are an inconvenience rather than a sentient species. That's almost worse than hatred, Diana said quietly. At least hatred acknowledges your existence as something worthy of emotion. Marcus considered this. Perhaps, or perhaps they're simply so advanced, so ancient, that they have moved beyond emotions as we understand them. Either way, they miscalculated when they attacked Earth. How so? They expected submission or futile resistance. Instead, they got 7 years of increasingly effective counterattacks from a species that refuses to die quietly. Now, they'll get Prometheus. Diana's expression hardened. Good. Let them learn what it means to underestimate humanity. 3 hours later, the diversionary attack began. Earth's remaining military vessels, along with armed civilian ships, launched a coordinated assault against the Krivax fleet's forward elements. From the Tenacity's position behind the moon, they could only track the battle through quantum-encrypted communications and distant sensor readings. Krivax forces responding as anticipated, reported Commander Jackson. They have diverted approximately 60% of their fleet to engage our attack force. Marcus watched the tactical display update in real time. Status of their flagship, maintaining position near Mars, surrounded by a screen of defensive vessels. Their formation is opening slightly as they redirect ships to counter our attack. That's our window. Helm, begin your approach. Take us in exactly as planned. Aye, sir. Beginning approach. The Tenacity slipped from behind the moon's protective shadow, accelerating gradually to avoid detection. Their course took them through a sparse field of debris, the remains of ships destroyed in earlier battles, providing additional cover from Krivax sensors. Engineering, status of stealth systems. Marcus called. Operating at peak efficiency, Colonel, came the response. However, power reserves are at 70% and declining. We are pushing the system harder than it was designed for. Understood. Maintain current output. We need to remain invisible until the final approach. As they drew closer to Mars and the main Krivax fleet, tension on the bridge ratcheted higher. Every minute brought them deeper into enemy territory, with only experimental stealth technology shielding them from detection. Report from the diversionary force, Diana announced. They have engaged the Krivax response fleet. Heavy casualties, but they are maintaining the enemy's attention. Marcus nodded grimly. More lives sacrificed to buy them this chance. Distance to target, he asked. 15 million kilometers and closing, replied the helm officer. Estimated time to optimal firing position, 23 minutes. For the next quarter hour, the Tenacity continued its approach in tense silence. Occasionally, distant flashes of light marked the ongoing battle between Earth's diversionary force and the Krivax ships. Each flash potentially represented human lives lost. Colonel, Commander Jackson said suddenly, I'm detecting a shift in the Krivax formation. Several vessels are breaking off from the flagship's defensive screen. Marcus frowned. Show me. The tactical display updated, showing 3 Krivax cruisers moving away from their previously fixed positions around the flagship. Analysis? He demanded. Jackson studied his readings. Unclear, sir. They could be responding to a new development in the main battle, or they have detected us. Marcus finished. Time to firing position. 8 minutes, sir. Engineering. Divert all non-essential power to stealth and propulsion. Weapons. Begin Prometheus pre-firing sequence. If they have spotted us, I want to be ready to fire the moment we are in range. New alerts flashed across the tactical display. Sir, the Krivax vessels are definitely altering course. They are moving to intercept a trajectory that would intersect with ours. Marcus's jaw tightened. They have detected us. How? Unknown, sir. Our stealth systems are functioning normally. It doesn't matter now. Helm, increase speed to maximum. Get us to firing position before they can intercept. Sir, at that speed, our stealth field will fail completely. Warn the engineering officer. We are already detected. Speed is all that matters now. Go! The Tenacity surged forward, its engines pushing to maximum output. The stealth field fluctuated, then collapsed entirely as power was diverted to propulsion. Krivax vessels adjusting course to match. They are accelerating, reported Jackson. Enemy weapons systems powering up. Time to firing position. For minutes, 20 seconds. Marcus opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, battle stations. Brace for incoming fire. Engineering. Divert all available power to forward shields. The first Krivax energy blast came moments later. A brilliant beam of coherent particles that narrowly missed the Tenacity's starboard side. Evasive maneuvers. Marcus ordered, but maintain our approach vector. Nothing matters except getting Prometheus into range. The ship lurched as the helm officer initiated a series of random course changes while maintaining their general heading toward the Krivax flagship. More enemy fire slashed through space around them. Direct hit to port nacelle, shouted the damage control officer. Shields at 63%. Maintain course. Marcus commanded. Weapons status of Prometheus. Pre-firing sequence at 82%, Colonel. 2 minutes to completion. Another hit rocked the ship, harder this time. Emergency lights flashed, and for a moment, gravity fluctuated before stabilizing. Shields at 41%. Hull breach on deck C. Seal it off, Marcus ordered. Time to firing position. 2 minutes, 50 seconds. More Krivax ships were moving to intercept now, breaking away from the main battle. The element of surprise was completely lost. Now, it was a race. Could the Tenacity reach firing position before the Krivax could destroy it? Multiple targeting locks. Jackson called. They are concentrating fire. All power to forward shields. Helm, random evasive pattern delta. The next barrage struck with devastating force. The Tenacity shuddered violently, and several consoles exploded in showers of sparks. The lights flickered, then dimmed as emergency power kicked in. Shields critical. Multiple hull breaches. We have lost engines 2 and 3. Marcus gripped his command chair as the ship lurched again. Maintain course on remaining engines. Weapons status. Prometheus pre-firing sequence complete, sir. Ready to initiate on your command. Distance to optimal firing position. 1 minute, 15 seconds at current speed. The helm officer reported, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. Another hit sent tremors through the deck plates. Warning klaxons blared throughout the ship. Structural integrity failing. Engineering reports, containment, field instabilities. Bypass safety protocols, Marcus ordered. Route all remaining power to engines and Prometheus. Sir, Diana said, her voice calm despite the chaos. At this rate, we won't reach the optimal firing position. Marcus studied the tactical display, his mind racing. The Krivax flagship was still too distant for Prometheus to guarantee a system-wide cascade effect. But they were running out of time. Dr. Abra, he called over the comm, what's our minimum effective range for Prometheus? The physicist's voice came back, strained but clear. Theoretically, we could trigger the cascade from our current position, but the probability of success drops to approximately 63%. And if we get closer, each 1,000 kilometers improves our odds by roughly 0.5%. Marcus made his decision. Continue approach for 45 more seconds, then fire regardless of position. More hits struck the Tenacity. A support beam crashed down on the far side of the bridge, crushing a workstation. Smoke filled the air, and emergency force fields flickered as they struggled to maintain atmospheric integrity. 30 seconds to firing, Diana announced, her station sparking as another hit rocked the ship. Engineering reports warp core containment failing, shouted the damage control officer. Breach imminent. Hold it together, Marcus commanded. Just a little longer. The view screen showed the Krivax flagship growing larger as they closed the distance. Around it, enemy vessels converged on the Tenacity's position, their weapons blazing. 20 seconds. A massive blast struck the ship's underside, sending it into a spin. The inertial dampeners failed momentarily, throwing crew members against bulkheads and consoles. Stabilize, Marcus shouted over the cacophony of alarms and explosions. Trying, sir, the helm officer responded, hands flying over his controls. Maneuvering thrusters at 30%. 10 seconds to firing position. The Tenacity groaned like a dying animal. Its superstructure pushed beyond design tolerances. Systems failed across the ship, and emergency bulkheads slammed down to seal off decompressing sections. Warp core breach in progress. 2 minutes to critical. 5 seconds. Marcus fixed his gaze on the Krivax flagship. In the 7 years since first contact, humanity had learned almost nothing about the beings who had brought such devastation. They remained enigmatic, their motives unclear beyond their relentless expansion and destruction. Firing position reached. Fire Prometheus, Marcus commanded. For heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, from deep within the Tenacity, a new vibration began, different from the shuddering of damage, a pure, rising tone that seemed to resonate with reality itself. On the view screen, a strange distortion appeared around the Tenacity, a rippling of space-time as the Prometheus device activated. The quantum resonance wave expanded outward at light speed, invisible except for its effect on the fabric of space. When it reached the Krivax flagship, the effect was immediate and catastrophic. A bubble of distortion formed around the massive vessel, growing rapidly as the quantum resonance interfered with the alien ship's null space field. The distortion pulsed once, twice, then collapsed inward. The Krivax flagship imploded, folding in on itself in seeming defiance of physics. A microsecond later, the nearest Krivax vessels suffered the same fate, the quantum cascade traveling through their entanglement network at superluminal speed. It's working, Diana exclaimed, her voice hushed with awe. Across the view screen, ship after ship vanished in a succession of impossible implosions. The effect spread outward like ripples in a pond, encompassing the entire Krivax fleet. Warp core breach imminent. 1 minute to critical. All hands, abandon ship. Marcus ordered. Get to the escape pods. Crew members scrambled from their stations, heading for the evacuation points. Diana remained at Marcus's side. That includes you, Major, he said. She shook her head. The pods won't get far enough before the core breach, and someone needs to maintain course away from Earth until the last moment. He knew she was right. The Tenacity's antimatter containment was failing. When it breached, the explosion would be catastrophic. Sir, Jackson called from his station. Long-range sensors confirm the quantum cascade is continuing to propagate. 97% of detected Krivax vessels have been neutralized. Marcus nodded. Get to a pod, Commander. That's an order. Jackson hesitated, then saluted and left the bridge. AS alarms blared and the ship shuddered around them. Marcus and Diana worked the helm controls, directing the dying vessel away from Earth. 30 seconds to core breach. Through the view screen, they could see the last of the Krivax ships vanishing as the quantum cascade completed its work. The fleet that had brought humanity to the brink of extinction was gone. We did it, Diana said quietly. Marcus nodded. Humanity survives. 20 seconds. He turned to her. You should go. Take the last pod. She smiled slightly. And leave you to have all the glory? Not a chance, Colonel. 10 seconds. Together, they watched as the stars stretched before them. Somewhere behind them, Earth continued its eternal orbit around the sun. A wounded planet, its population decimated, its cities in ruins. But alive, and now free. 5 seconds. It was an honor, Major, Marcus said. L'UES, Colonel, bien replié. As the antimatter containment field collapsed and the Tenacity's core breached, a new star briefly flared in the solar system. A small, human-made sun that marked both an end and a beginning point 3 months later. In the rebuilt command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Takeda stood before the assembled leaders of Earth's surviving nations. The last Krivax outpost in the Kuiper Belt was neutralized 2 weeks ago, he reported. Long-range scans showing no signs of additional forces approaching our system. For the first time in 7 years, Earth is secure. A murmur ran through the gathering. Relief, disbelief, hope, emotions that had been in short supply since the invasion began. And the Prometheus technology? Asked the representative from the African coalition. Dr. Abra stepped forward. The principles have been fully documented. Should the Krivax or any similar threat return, we will be ready. What of the Tenacity and her crew? Asked another leader. General Takeda's expression grew solemn. The Tenacity was lost with all hands. Colonel Vega, Major Walsh, and 51 brave men and women gave their lives to ensure our survival. Their sacrifice will never be forgotten. He gestured to a wall where the names of the Tenacity's crew had been inscribed in simple, dignified letters. At the top, a quote had been added. They underestimated humanity. It was their last mistake. Outside, beyond the mountain's protective bulk, Earth was beginning to heal. Cities were being rebuilt, fields replanted. Children, born during the war and knowing only fear and hiding, were experiencing their first taste of peace. The genocide was complete. Humanity had survived, and somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, word of the Krivax's defeat was spreading. A message to any who might consider Earth an easy target. This world, this species would not go quietly into extinction. Humanity endured. Humanity fought back. Humanity won.